Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dating Alchemy with me, Jen Youngquist, where you're going to learn how to shift out of your current dating patterns so that you can find that mate you dream of. This is something I struggled with for 20 plus years. I didn't even get married until I was 43. So I wasted so much time that I didn't have to. And it's now my mission to help others to get out of this struggle and find their dream partner fast. So keep listening as I'm going to give you all of my secrets. In this episode, number 4, I've titled Soulmates, the Surprising Truth. So I'm going to talk about what soulmates really are and how this notion of a soulmate could be keeping you stuck in the wrong relationships. So we've all had this fantasy that there's just one true love out there for each one of us. Like there's just one perfect person that will complete you and make you whole and with whom you get to live happily ever after. And I'm going to be honest, I really hate this over romanticized notion of a soulmate because it's only a tiny part of the truth. Okay. Are soulmates a thing? Yes. Is a soulmate there just to be your perfect, quote unquote, perfect partner? No. No. There's different kinds of soulmates, okay? So you have to be really careful what you wish for. All right? But if you're one of those walking around with the idea that there's just this one perfect person and you might pass up your one chance, that's going to keep you stuck in toxic relationships that are just really unhealthy because you're scared to death you're going to pass up your one chance. And I was there. I was thinking the same damn thing. Um, it made me give the wrong ones way too many chances because well, I was confusing some things. I was confusing attraction with love. I was confusing sex with love. I was confusing connection with love. I had never had a deep connection with anyone until my first few boyfriends. But looking back now, because I had no reference of what a connection really was, the connection with these guys was not deep at all. They were not, it was not deep, but I didn't know better. And that's the problem. Okay, so I had honestly no idea what I was even looking for. And how would I? How would you know if you've never had a good example of it? If you've never felt truly loved and supported in your life, if you didn't have parents that were great examples, like you would have no idea really what to look for when you finally get out into the world on your own. You're flying blind. You have to figure it out on your own. Like there's no relationship 101 taught in school, is there? And honestly, I really think that there should be. And because we don't really have a good idea of what we're looking for, we usually turn to other sources to try to figure it out, right? Sources like religion. How many of you have had your religion tell you that there's God created only one person for you, right? Like I grew up in the Christian church and that's what I believed. And therefore I was really afraid that I was going to miss it. And so, I just gave far too many chances rather than listening to my own gut and intuition. So, we turn to fairy tales, romantic comedies, all to try to figure out what this ideal relationship should look like. And those sources have kind of romanticized this notion of a soulmate. All right. The problem is there are different types of soulmates. And just doing a Google search will bring up so many different perspectives on what it is and what it isn't. Who's right? I don't know for sure, but I tend to follow Hermeticism for my spiritual teachings. So that's what I looked to when I was doing research for this podcast. So, what does Hermeticism say about soulmates? Well, first of all, a lot of you probably haven't even heard of Hermeticism before. Um, Hermeticism is I guess it's a body of work, I suppose, propagated from an ancient, I guess you could call him a prophet, Herme Trismegistus. And I guess he would probably be like a Moses type, where he was kind of given these spiritual principles and he proliferated them and taught them. Ancient Egyptians took advantage of his work. There were other cultures that his work also shows up in ancient cultures. And he's had acolytes and followers throughout history. And some of these acolytes took it upon themselves to create a book of writing down his teachings, and it's called the Kybalion, Kybalion. It's a pretty cheap book you can get on Amazon, and there are 7 Hermetic principles. It's not an easy read. Um, you might have to read some things a couple times for it to really make sense. And, honestly, as I dive deeper into these spiritual teachings, more and more gets revealed to me. There's a lot of nuance to it and a lot of things that I wasn't able to understand the first time around. So, according to Hermeticism, it focuses on the interconnectedness of all things. And therefore, soulmates would fall under an expression of duality, or in the Kybalion, it would be under the law of polarity, which states everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. That's a direct quote from the Kybalion. So the principle of polarity is embodying the truth that all manifested things have 2 sides or 2 aspects, 2 poles or a pair of opposites, with a lot of degrees in between the 2 extremes. So, for example, think about hot and cold. And science has even proved this. There's no there's not just a hot and a cold, right? It's actually the same thing. It's just hot has a lot of degrees, right? Whereas cold is the absence of the heat. And then you have all of the different degrees in between. So it's more like a scale with one, the opposite polar ends, right? And then all of the different degrees in between. So you can also think about someone, if they are a soulmate, they are on the basically they are on the other end of the spectrum than you. Okay. So hang in here with me. I know this might not be an easy thing to understand, and trust me, it's not an easy thing to explain. So probably an example would be the best here. So a soulmate would be someone who has the same issue that you do, but they're just on a different end of the spectrum with it. Okay. So some of you are maybe more on the empathetic people pleasing side. So if you think of that as one end of a scale, and at the other end, you have selfish narcissist. Okay. They're on the same scale. There's just different degrees in between, right? So if you are the people pleaser, empathetic people pleaser, likely you have had an experience with a narcissist. That narcissist was a soulmate for you. Okay? But not the soulmate kind of relationship where you live happily ever after. This was a different kind of soulmate. This soulmate was here to be a reflection to you. The soulmate was there to help you learn something. Okay, so this kind of soulmate is here as a catalyst for your personal growth and spiritual evolution. And you're like, how in the hell can that be? Right? Well, this relationship was likely very tumultuous. There was likely a lot of passion, at least on your side. You probably imagined a deep connection with this person. And it probably ended pretty abruptly to where you might be confused, to where you might have very little closure on it. Or maybe you were the one to leave. Either way, this relationship was there to teach you something. If it was with the narcissist, the selfish narcissist, right? It was there to teach you boundaries. It was there to show you you can't overgive to people. It was there to show you um, doormats are not appreciated, right? There was something for you to learn. It was there to expose something that's been under the surface that's been really hard for you to see for yourself. Okay? So the Hermetic teachings are emphasizing the importance of personal development and self-reflection before you go actively seeking um, the other kind of soulmate, right? So the kind of soulmate that's there to show you that there's something you need to take a look at is what fellow coach Christine Hassler calls a journey mate relationship. And the journey mate relationship is usually quite painful. And it usually um, can keep you stuck because of there were some elements to it that you're like, well, this person could have been a fantastic mate for me. It seemed like if they would just do XYZ, then it would have been perfect. Right? But unfortunately, it's the XYZ that they're not doing that they're there to show you something through. Okay? So the other kind of soulmate then would be the kind where two people who have done a lot of their own work and have become the best version of themselves, where there is a deep connection where each person is whole in themselves and they come together to form this divine partnership, right? So when you're thinking of soulmate partner, that is what you're actually thinking about. That is what you're actually picturing. But that is the uncommon kind of soulmate. And the reason it's so uncommon is because you have to do some things first before you will attract this kind of partner or even choose this kind of partner. Because if you are choosing from your disempowerment, you will never choose this type of partner. That's why you might reject good guys. Okay? It's not that you've never had a good guy come into your life. You just weren't attracted to him. You didn't choose him. Okay? So, in order to find the kind of soulmate that you have in your head, you have to do that work first to become the best version of yourself, to become this totally empowered version of yourself, because that is the power from which you will attract this soulmate. Okay? So, how do you do this, right? How do you become this empowered version of yourself? Well, there are two ways. You continue the path you're on, which means you will keep attracting the other kind of soulmate, the journey mates that are going to show you those parts you need to take a look at, right? But unfortunately, these relationships are painful. They are painful and they can take up a lot of your time. Like some of my journey mate relationships took up years. It's the long route. It really is. But if you're not actively involved in your own growth, if you're not actively seeking out those parts that need to be addressed and shifted, I don't want to say that we constantly need healing. It's not necessarily healing. It's more becoming whole through awareness, where you have to become aware of your patterns, where they came from, and then you have to start making different choices from that awareness. Okay, that is what they mean by quote healing work. Okay, so you can continue in your patterns and finding these journey mate types, or you can do the work yourself. You can, which is hard because if we could see these hidden parts, right, then we wouldn't need these journey mate relationships. So you need someone that can help guide you through that process. Whether it's a teacher that can give you, journal prompts, someone you follow, maybe you do your own journaling in the morning and you get a lot of understanding through that. Um, maybe you do work one-on-one with someone, whether it be a therapist or whether it be a coach. These people are here to show you those parts that need to be looked at, because those parts are what are holding you back in life. It's what's holding you back from the things that you really want in life. Okay. So the more of that kind of work that you can do, the more empowered you are going to be. Your patterns will shift and you will be more able to be that vibrational match for the kind of soulmate that you're looking for. So if attraction, if you're not really understanding what I'm meaning by all of that, go back and listen to episode 2 and 3. That is going to, I talked all about law of attraction and how it works. Okay, so you have to become the vibrational match for the thing that you want. So, in other words, the two people that are going to enter into this relationship have to be on the same level. So, if we go back to the hermetic slide of, that scale of polarity, right? You're going to find someone more in the middle rather than be directed to someone on the poles. Okay. When you find someone on the poles, it's a very volatile, tumultuous kind of relationship. When you find someone in the middle of that pole or of that scale, right? It's not going to be tumultuous. Okay, you're going to have a similar type of energy. And that's what you really want because that's going to be steady. It's going to be even. You're going to know what to expect. It may not be the most passionate relationship of your life, but it's going to be everything else that you want. Okay? So there is a checklist that you can take a look at. So the checklist is something that comes from Dr. Gary Solier and a little bit from me too. So I've kind of taken his work and some of mine, and I've put together this little checklist. And I will make sure to put that in the show notes. But if you want to know what you're looking for in a relationship, this is a great place to start. Okay, so number one, does he make you feel welcomed? Is he happy to see you? Does he include you in his life? Okay, if yes, great. If not, if there's a lot of, oh, I don't know, or, I don't, I'm not gonna let you meet my parents until I'm 100% sure this is going somewhere. Or, when there is that kind of conditional shit at the beginning, all right? It's red flags if they're not welcoming you right away. Should be happy to see you, should be happy to start to include you in their life. Okay? Second one, do you feel worthy and nourished in this relationship? Does he attempt to meet your needs, especially when you ask him to? Okay? So here's where empowerment comes in, right? Are you empowered enough to ask for your needs to be met? If you're not, likely this person, people can be pretty selfish. They're not always looking out for you. You have to be like, "Hey, me, give me some attention." But even after you ask and this person doesn't attempt to meet your needs in a reasonable way, then that's a red flag. Okay? So there should be a mutual meeting of needs. You should feel worthy in this relationship. This person should not be making you feel less than or like you don't deserve anything. Okay. Number 3, do you feel protected and safe with him? Safe on all levels, not just physically. Okay. Do you feel safe enough to be vulnerable? Do you feel safe enough to be yourself? And if that's a no, the relationship's a no. Okay. Number 4, do you feel cherished? Does this person make you feel special? Okay. You should feel special. You should feel like they, you're the queen of their castle, right? And if not, another red flag. Number 5, do you feel like you get to make your own choices and stand up for what you want without it becoming a fight? So in other words, are they controlling of you? If that is the case, huge red flag, right? You should have your own autonomy. You should have your own interests. You should be able to stand up for the things that you want and the choices that you want to make because it is your life too, after all. And if someone's going to fight you on that every time, huge red flag. Number, I think that's 6. Yep. Pretty simple one. Do you feel loved and supported? You might feel loved, loved-ish, but does this person really support you? Do they support what you're all about? And I don't just mean by money. Like, are they on your side, right? Are they your biggest cheerleader? Do they support you emotionally? If not, it's a no. Does this person share your highest values? So you should know your top 5 values. And if you don't, I would highly, highly suggest that you spend some time getting clear on them because this person should share your highest values. Because if there is a values mismatch on your most important ones, it's going to be a contentious relationship. People's values don't normally change quickly, if at all. So you want to make sure that someone shares your values. And so if you can check all those boxes, and I'm not saying all the time, I'm not saying this person has to be perfect and just do all of these things all the time, but generally the feeling should be that you're loved and supported, you have autonomy, you feel cherished, you feel safe, all of these things. Then you are probably in that the good kind of soulmate relationship that you're looking for. Okay. So your takeaway from this today, I want you to understand and be really clear on a couple things. That, well, yes, soulmates are a thing. There's different kinds of soulmates. And you should never use that as an excuse to stay in a relationship that is not working for you. Do not use it as an excuse or as a way to not make the hard choice that you need to make. Okay? Because the right soulmate, you'll never have to think about it. You'll never have to make that choice. Okay? So if you're even thinking about, oh, what if this person's a soulmate? I should give them a chance to heal or do whatever it is that they're not doing. That's your sign it's not the right relationship. It's a journey mate, and you need to clear that karma, be done with it, and move on if you don't want to waste any more of your precious time. All right? The second takeaway from this is in order to find that kind of soulmate that you're looking for, you're going to have to do some internal work. There's just no way of getting around that. And you're either going to do it by staying on the path that you're on through these different journey mate relationships that are painful and that take a lot of time, or you're going to do it through deliberate work on yourself by finding someone that can help you do this work, or by finding a teacher that you really resonate with that, is able to kind of help you through this. Excuse me. So whatever it is you decide to do, you're fine. You can do nothing and continue, and eventually you'll clear all that karma and you'll find your person. Or you can deliberately do the work, speed up that process, and possibly have this person within months. It's up to you. So, for those of you that want to choose number two and do this work, this is exactly what I help people do. Okay, in my dating alchemy one-on-one, I work with people for 16 weeks. Excuse me, I need a drink here. So I work with people for 16 weeks, and we really dive deep into your current patterns. We look at the places where you are disempowered and where that disempowerment is what's creating your current results. And then I work with you to clear that. Okay. And we clear it through bringing awareness. We clear it through really having compassion for those parts. Okay. We don't try to beat it away. We don't try to, muscle through anything. That's not what this work is about at all. All right. When you shine the light on these things and you become aware of them, that is where you gain the power, because then you get to make new choices about where you want to go and what you want for your life. Okay. And then you practice making those new choices. And for a lot of people, that is the hard part about doing the work, where there's not a lot of accountability. They don't really know what to do in order to make those changes. So this is where working with someone can really help you on that. And then I help you get really clear on what it is that you want. I help you to sit down and do the actual manifestation. Okay, and you're going to learn a lot about energy, how to use your energy effectively, and not just to find a partner, but how to get everything else in your life that you want. So if this is something that sounds like you would like to explore, there will be a link in the show notes for Dating Alchemy. You'll just click on the link, go to my page. There is an I'm interested button. It's going to take you to a form. Just fill out the form. After you submit the form, you'll get a chance to pick a time where we can talk. And on this call, it's free. I'm going to go over what you put in the form, and we're going to talk about how I can help you, what exactly it's going to look like, where your focus of work is likely to be. And at that time, you can make a choice about whether to work with me or not, think about it, whatever. But at the very least, you're going to walk away with an idea of your pattern and what it really is, what's behind it. Okay. And so whether you choose to work with me on that or you choose to try to do the work yourself, that's completely up to you. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to help you make the best choice for you. Simple as that. All right. That is it for this episode. I hope that was helpful for you guys. We will, I don't know if there's going to be an episode next week. I'm going to be on vacation. So, at least in the next couple weeks, there definitely will be one out. So I will see you then. Take care.